Welcome, everyone, to the Three Circles Living podcast, where you can learn how to improve your life. Doesn't matter if you want to accelerate your professional career, have better relationships, be healthier, or find fulfillment. This is a podcast for you. And make sure to share it. We would love that. And leave a comment with a nugget that you found most valuable because it's helping us to give more content than the content that you want to hear about.
Yeah, you
We
can also leave a comment about some rabbit hole you'd like us to go down because we're flexible. We just want to serve you.
Yes, we're very flexible and we go with it. So go to town, please. And we're your hosts. I'm Christina Hall, and I also have Todd Burrier with me. I'm very excited. And we're here to help you live your richest life possible. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Amen.
But today's topic is build your life platform, energy, purpose, and the power of the first circle. If you don't know the three circles, you need to listen to episode 1, but we're going to talk about the power of the first circle and really what if your richest life isn't about chasing more, but really building that platform that supports everything that you value in life. And in this episode, we're going to talk about this and really reveal how to construct that foundational piece and energize your life from the inside out and where it really starts for you.
Ooh, I like how you said that, Chris. That was good. That's good. Wasn't that good? That was good.
Thanks. So let's dive in. And if anybody wants to follow this, I'm going to plug your book, Three Circles Living. If you haven't gotten it yet, get it. But it's what we're focusing on is everything about chapter 2 and potentially chapter 3. But we'll see how far we get today. But really, what I liked when I read the book and that stood out to me was the comparison that you made in that book between two people, right? You can have if you have two people that have everything is the same, their drive, they're ambitious, they have the experience, they have the skills, they have the time to do it, all of that is there. But one of them is healthy and the other one is just exhausted and unhealthy and doesn't know, what to do really with that part of their life. And the question that you ask, and I want everybody to think about that too. Who do you think is going to achieve more in life, is going to be more productive, has better relationship, has a better career? That is the point. That made me think. And I feel like a lot of people are running for that, chasing that, what I said earlier, chasing more and wanting to do more, but they don't understand where to start or why this is so important.
You know, it feels like common sense, and I don't say that insultingly, because it wasn't common sense for me at first because it's not modeled. I mean, everything around us is, let's face it, our messaging is you're not good enough. The stuff
Mhm.
you have isn't good enough, and neither are you. If you want to be good enough, you got to look like this. You got to be this. You got to have this title. You got to have this certification. You got to do what, blah, 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 blah. You got to own this kind of thing, drive this kind of thing, which is all just a bunch of crap to get your money. But really, the result of that is it just messes up people's value system and they don't even realize. And unfortunately, often people have to go down that rabbit hole until they're like, what am I doing this for? I'm wrecking my life, which I was wrecking my life. And I'm so grateful that, I, grace of God. I mean, because I was headed down that track. I was really physical health wise, I have no doubt I wouldn't have lived very long. I mean, not just necessarily from doing something that would kill me instantly, because there were many opportunities for that, but I'm talking about the actual progression of my health, even in my 20s, was horrible. And so it's common sense when you really think about it. Take two people. If you think about currency in life, and
Mhm.
this is a sidebar, but it's very relevant. ultimate currency in life is not money. Now, I got nothing wrong with money. I mean, I've had no money and I've had a lot of money, and a lot of money is a lot better. I'm not afraid to say that, but not if the cost of that money is everything else that's more important, right? And so if you think about the ultimate currencies in life, their time, their love, and then there's energy. And I'm not talking about like what you put in your car or what lights your house. I'm talking about human energy. And so
Mhm.
back to your example of you take two people of equal potential, let's say, put them in the same endeavor. Maybe in a short window, the person who is not paying attention to their health, well, you can caffeine your way, right? You can abuse yourself. You can get little sleep. You can do that when you're 25. You do that when you're 50, you're dead, right? If you can even do it. And so the result in any relative period of time over 30 days is the
Mhm.
person who is physically well. I'm not talking about not sick. That's entirely different than being well. I'm talking about someone who's vibrant and energized and they are going to physically be able to outperform the other person daily. And I'm not talking about just the physical aspect because that's here too, right? It's your mind, it's your mental energy, emotional energy. That's a big deal. And so that person is going to outperform the other person generally every day. They're going to have multiple hours of higher productivity. But then take the long view. The long view is, well, I'll just use myself as an example. I'm going to turn 64 shortly. I am never sick. I get up and rock and roll all day. And most people my age can't do that. They can't. And actually, it's been that way for me and my equal demographic for the last 25 years because I've been taking care of myself for longer than that. And I'm therefore out physically and mentally able to perform others. That doesn't mean I'm overworking. It means I can do way more in the time that I have because I'm not like whacked out at 2 in the afternoon and going, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through the rest of the day? Well, that's not optimal performance. You might as well be doing something else.
Yeah.
So it's just logic. It's simple logic. It's human logic.
It is. And to your point too, like I felt like you called me out there pretty badly because I was that person. And
Sorry, not sorry.
yeah, no, that's good. Um, hopefully some other people feel called out too, because that's the whole point. Becoming aware of that first, and then you can make a change. But
Yeah.
I, I was the person I feel like I didn't get a really chance at life early on just because was I had health issues very early in my life, but I was that person too, like in my 20s, early 20s, when I started to build a career and, went for the things that I thought that I wanted at that time and thought that you have to do. Um, I I had the coffee multiple times a day and just to function. But then every time I think back to that time period, the only thing I did was I went to work, I came home, and I sat on the couch. That's all that I was able to do. I didn't I didn't go out with friends. I mean, they had to drag me out, and most of the time I had to say no because I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel up to it or and it really is like hindsight when I look at it is like it affected everything else in my life.
Yeah.
Every little area. It also like not just the community and social life that I didn't have back then, but also like what you talked about, your energy. Like I didn't have physical energy. Like I could sleep and I slept 10 hours. On the weekends, I slept until 10, 11 in the morning just because I was so done, right? And when I got up, I was exhausted again. Like, what? I was in my 20s. I should have like done all the things. And yet I was also not like it was harder for me. I feel like the first 10 years of my career in at work I had to work so much harder and so much more to snail pace along. Like I
Mhm.
didn't even excel at anything or really jumped to new positions. It just barely the next step always. And
You know, the reality is there are seasons when you will go out of bounds. That's a
yeah.
fact, right? And it just can't be your general way of life. And so there are going to be times in your career when you've got to really put the pedal down. I mean, I've had times in my career, literally, I had periods in my career where I worked 16 hours a day for 3 straight months, right? But I was physically capable of doing it, but I knew what I was doing. And I also did that with the permission of my loved ones because of the circumstance, right? And so, but it was not, this is what I'm choosing as a way of life. It's like this is a season, right? Certain times with the projects, certain times in your career. If you work for someone else, they're going to try to put you in that situation. And so but again, the flip side of that recipe is if you are taking care of yourself, you are productively, you are operating at a different level. They can try to put you in a situation and you can still perform like an entrepreneur. And I say this because this is a crazy stat and I don't have any proof, but I live it so I can sense it. They say an entrepreneur can do in 12 hours what someone who has a job does in 40. And I think that's true. And I think it's true because of the intensity, right? It's the intensity. Um, but even if you were only, if that was only fractional, right? It just take a couple hours, right? Just a couple hours, right? The truth is, if you've got to be at your desk for 14 hours to do your job, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the construct or your skill level or probably how you're functioning. But there's a lot of things that you could look at. But the reality is that's not a way to live. I mean, and I'm a fan of achieving high levels. I believe in that. I'm inspired that way. I don't do things for mediocrity. I don't think we're intended for that. I mean, mediocrity is easy. Things aren't supposed to be easy, but high performance, that is over time, it's a function of the whole you. It's not just a function of the ability to work and do the thing. It's who are you in the thing? Because that's also flipping into the relational part that's connected to that, right? You're stressed out and flipped out and dragging and look half dead. Nobody's going to be attracted to you. Nobody's going to want to model you. Nobody's going to want to work with you, right? Because that's coming out. That you're not holding that in. You're not hiding that. That's a thing. And it's sort of like the whole platform is looking at it from the energy perspective and the time perspective, right? So the more energy you have, the more time you have, right? It doesn't change the clock. It changes how you can use what's happening in those 24. But you have to recognize that there comes a time where considering if you look at your whole self like you're an economy, your whole life is an economy. And so everything you do has to be from the perspective of an investment. If it becomes an expense that's greater than the investment, now you're losing. And so there's an amount of work you have to do that you're investing in the thing that you're doing. But the minute you go too far on a consistent basis, what you are now expensing from something else to do that is eliminating the investment because you're losing ground elsewhere that will affect it. And I don't know. I might have to sit down and go, what the heck did I just say? But I think you understand what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what I meant earlier too. Like it's not just the physical energy, it's the energy. We all are energetic beings. That's just how we are. Can't change that. And we all went to encounter people where we're like, something feels off. Like I don't really want to be around that person. Like they're always negative or they just don't look well or whatever it might be, right? There, you have that feeling, that gut reaction. And that's the energy like that we're talking about that is gonna impact everything else in your life. Like that's making you more attractive
Yeah.
and
Yes. Yeah.
having you jump out to be like, if you want that next step in your career and you have that energy, you're attractive to everybody. You're gonna jump out because you're just the choice that they don't have another choice.
Well,
Compare if you compare those two personalities, right?
yeah, when you think about fatigue, just fatigue, which by the way, fatigue is an indicator.
Hmm.
It's not normal, right? You're not supposed to be fatigued every day at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. That's a significant indicator something's wrong. And it's usually going to be lack of what your body needs to take care of itself. But yeah, undue stress, too much stress, being dialed in all the time, too much time with your adrenal glands flying because you're on social media, you're not letting you, whatever, all these things together, right? But setting that aside, fatigue makes cowards of all of us, right? Isn't that's an old adage, right? But it doesn't just make cowards of us in the moment because have the we don't have the power. It actually affects how we see things, right? If someone brings you anything of value when you're fatigued, you're like, think about opportunity. You can't look at opportunity. You're looking for reasons why not to, as opposed to what's good about this. It naturally leads to negative vibe. It's just a thing because you don't feel good. That's the gist. When you don't feel good, you ain't doing good, and you're not being good, and you're not creating an aura about you. Someone that walks in a room that's negative, I tell you, you could walk into my house, which I'm upstairs right now. But if you walked into my door and you're negative, I go, what just happened? I think there was a breeze just blew in here and something's not right. You can feel negative energy, right? And a negative attitude. And that's what fatigue will do to you. But again, that's just an indicator. It's like, clearly, that's not right. That's not good. If that's the state of being, you're on the wrong road. You have to like pull over and figure out how to get on a different road.
Which is not easy. And that's coming from me, guys. Again, I said it earlier. I didn't have the greatest start in life because I was diagnosed with autoimmune issues, with chronic pain, all of the things. And let me tell you, for the first 25 years, almost 30 years of my life, I was looked at that person that was in the corner. Like I wasn't in the middle of the room. I was not talking to people. I was not the first people that came to people's minds that they wanted to invite to anything. Let's put it this way. And there's actually a funny story that I got thrown a surprise birthday party for my birthday. And I was around 20. And I was upset about it. And when everybody else had a party outside, I was upstairs in a room. And people, like two people came up to me, and one of them was actually my then boyfriend, now husband. And I was like, what the heck are you doing? Like, what are you? This is for you. Like, why are you not outside? Like, and I didn't understand that it was all on me. And also, let me tell you to everyone, I was that person that pushed everything on. I'm sick. I can't do it. Like it's just not in me. It doesn't work. I've never done it. I don't have the skills. I don't have the ability. I'm
Yeah,
not going to be that person because that was not who I was. And that I let that fatigue, that pain dictate everything in my life. And it wasn't until I had to be taken I had to be asked to take a break pretty much.
yeah.
Uh, and I don't want anybody to have it get that far because I had a full-on burnout when I was 25. Like there was no way to do anything else.
That's
Like
crazy to have to be burnt out at that age. I mean, it's crazy, but
yeah,
it's indicative. You weren't alone, right? I mean, a lot of people with burnout don't even know it. They just don't feel right. They think the world sucks, and it's
yeah.
really just a function of their habits.
everything always sucks. That was my go-to. Everything was sucking. Everything was negative. I couldn't do it. It's not for me. It will never happen for me or anything like that. And something that you just said too, um, I no, you're not supposed to feel fatigue. You're not supposed to be run into a burnout at any time in your life. You shouldn't, because that's not what nature intended. That's not how we're built. And for me also as a mom, I always say like I am almost 40 and I have a 10 and a 3-year-old. And the 3-year-old, they're both tornadoes. They have energy like all day long. But the 3-year-old specifically, I don't know what it is about the seconds, but it's something. And she is energetic, but I can still run laps around her even at 10 o'clock at night. And that is what it's supposed to be. And it's not like, yes, I get tired too and exhausted and, all the things because we're moms or
Yeah.
parents at the end of the day, like it just happens. And that's very normal. That's nothing that we need to label, in my opinion, but whatever, it's a different topic. But you still should have energy and not feel exhausted all the time as a mom.
Well,
And that's,
given, I mean, it's going to be Mother's Day in 3 days as we make
Mhm.
this episode, and I know we're already at 20 minutes, and we're only talking about one thing. But I will say this about moms, and moms are the caretakers, right? And which so part of the challenge for mom is that's an incredibly emotionally taxing thing. I mean, I'm married to a mom. I had a mom, and I see the incredible burden that moms carry for their family. It's unlike if you're not a mom. I mean, I can't completely relate because I'm not a mom. Now I'm a dad and I have my own set of that. But I see that, and it is so important for a mom to take care of themselves first in the day. Because they're going to not just expend enormous amounts of physical energy, but the emotional energy and the constant hammering on their cortisol and their adrenals of how much they care. That
Mhm.
is an immense amount of energy that is being used. And their tendency, because it was modeled, because it's societal, is everybody else comes first.
Mhm.
But if everybody else comes first, and this is going to be hard, then you won't be able to be the mom you want to be. In order to be the mom you want to be, you have to take care of yourself. And if anyone in your household has a problem with that, you need to stand up about that because they
Mhm.
don't get it. They don't realize what you're doing, and they don't realize what you're doing. They don't see it all, right? They don't feel it all. But it's always been a challenge. I think it's a greater challenge for women, and being someone who's worked with and loves working with women because I think women are freaking awesome. They're just the greatest. They're real, and they will put their heart and soul into something, and they care about people, and that and people. Someone, I'm sure someone watching this will either turn it off or go, "Oh, that guy doesn't know it." Yeah, I know what I'm freaking talking about. What I'm talking about is real, and it's so critical for moms to get that they can't be the caretaker they want to be
Mhm.
without taking care of themselves. You know, they're still going to have moments when they're in the corner crying and nobody sees it. That's going to happen. But their ability to better care for the people they care about is going to be heightened by just spending half hour, 45 minutes on taking care of themselves every day.
Yes. And I know you said it, we're at 20 minutes, and we want to definitely give you more value specifically around that topic, how you can take care of yourself in that time, like what is important, what are the basics, how you can really turn that life around without having to completely change everything upside down, because that is not what you need to do. And that's not, I mean, social media tells you to and tells you all about the 75 hard days and whatever. Like, no, yes, let's not do that. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it realistic and sustainable.
Yep.
We're gonna talk all about that in our next episode. So stay tuned. And we really appreciate you tuning in today. And again, if you have comments, if you have questions about anything, leave them below. We'll get to them, promise you. And if anything stood out, please make sure to also share it with your loved ones and with your friends. And unless there's anything else, we'll see you next time.
That's a wrap. And thank you, Chris. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day.